Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Briotix Health Spotlight, where we speak with providers, subject matter experts, and other key players in the field about the various aspects of worker wellness that are affecting you and your company today. We're back today with insights into the health and wellness administration in manufacturing environments. The wide variety of hazards that can be present in different manufacturing plants or work sites makes the topic far-reaching. So today we're honing in on those physical aspects of the job related directly to workers. In 2019, the manufacturing industry reported 846,700 injuries to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 6.6 cases per 100 workers, accounting for 15% of all non-fatal injuries in the private industry sector that year. Today, we have another Briotix Health expert, Ben Haynes, here to help us learn a little bit more about how companies are working today to reduce those numbers and maintain worker health and wellness in manufacturing. Ben, welcome to the Spotlight. Today, we have another Briotix Health expert, Ben Haynes, here to help us learn a little bit more about how companies are working today to reduce those numbers and maintain worker health and wellness in manufacturing. So, Ben, can you tell us a little bit more about your role and what you do here at Briotix Health?
Sure. Thanks, Matthew. My current job title is Team Manager of the Workforce Solutions Division within Briotix Health. And what I am currently doing is working with our teams that do the on-site analysis for physical demands analysis, going out to employer sites and measuring what job demands are, what essential functions of different jobs are, and wrapping that up into a deliverable that's used by the employer or some other entity. And the data that is measured through that on-site work is then bankrolled and created into a POET, post-offer of employment protocol, test protocol, that can be used to test new hires or can be used for functional tests, for any types of functional tests like fit for duty testing, functional capacity evaluations, where you are testing an employee to what their actual job demands are. By having all of that data documented, you're able to create a functional test that simulates the requirements exactly. So that's my current role here within Briotix Health.
What's your background surrounding kind of worker health? When you are diving into these topics, where did you come from before you started doing this kind of work?
So I'm an occupational therapist by background and training. So I have a background with in the healthcare industry, and I originally did an internship with the company out of grad school, and it kind of bankrolled into a job, worked out good for me. But that healthcare background, and we have people on our current team from exercise physiologists, athletic trainers, physical therapists, occupational therapists. We run the gamut of different backgrounds, but we all bring a unique perspective and kind of gel as a team to do the work that we do.
Just based on what I've seen, the way the team works together, it's obvious that all these backgrounds really come together to make a very good cohesive unit. So in manufacturing itself, where it can be an especially physical job, it's obviously important for an employee or employer to understand exactly what a job requires. What is the role of a PDA, or physical demands analysis, in the manufacturing care environment?
So that's a great question. We usually say when I'm breaking it down and kind of looking at it from a 30,000-foot view, physical demands analysis, job analysis, there's a lot of terms that are used in the industry for the same type of product, but it's looking at two big pieces of the puzzle. One is the process angle of the job. So why the job exists, what the process or work or reason for this particular station within a larger entity is necessary in order to meet the final goal. So you've got that process angle, and then you've got physical and cognitive side of the job. And that is going to classify exactly what physical demands are required, what types of pushes and pulls and lifts, postures, different grip patterns, all of the physical aspects of your job, what are required to do that work, and then also the cognitive demands, what type of cognitive thinking or communication styles are required for an individual to successfully complete that job within the larger organization.
We discussed there, it's not just physical demands. We're also addressing cognitive demands with many of these pieces to really encompass the entirety of what a job requires. So are there other solutions beside a PDA that address similar issues in the workplace? Whether it's different terms for the same thing or different solutions together that kind of reach out to meet the same goal.
So yeah, there's a lot of different solutions that can be used, and PDA job analysis is one of them, so that you can see in one deliverable report what those requirements of the job are and how those requirements link back to the process angle, the reason that the job exists. But as far as other solutions, you can also use the data that's captured in that job analysis in a lot of different ways. If you look at specifically the physical side of the job, the requirements can be used to create physical tests of any type, and that could be on a post-offer basis, so that you're measuring someone's strength abilities and comparing that to the job that he or she may do. But it can also include things like return to work placement. So if someone has been out of a job and you need to have clearance and a check mark that they meet the physical requirements of the job, you can do some type of fit for duty testing where you're testing that person's ability level again and comparing it to the job requirements. It can also be used to inform other types of functional testing, like a functional capacity evaluation, where you're looking at the individual globally and what his or her abilities are, maybe not in conjunction with one specific job title, but if you know that 20% of the jobs on production floor require the use of a manual pallet jack, for example, you can create a test in a functional capacity evaluation that simulates pallet jack pushing and pulling and test the person's ability to perform that task. Outside of that testing piece, you can also use the results from a job analysis to identify ergonomic risk factors. If a lot of times we work with employers that may have some type of internal safety standard and no lifting over 35 pounds, as an example. And when our team is on site and measuring what the physical requirements are, we may find objects that weigh over 35 pounds. Even if we don't find objects that weigh over 35 pounds, any objects that are approaching that internal safety standard or any other value that the employer wants to put on their workforce, you can use the results to kind of highlight where you might want to take a further look into what the requirements are and other risk factors associated with that job or that task. You can also identify ergonomic modification that's needed for different job tasks.
So you jumped forward a little bit on that answer with how PDAs kind of fit into that care cycle of what other pieces that might be used by a manufacturing client today. And obviously a single assessment can't lead health and wellness initiatives by itself. Depending on how long a manufacturer has been in business, whether they're just starting or they're well established and have been around for a long time with a care program, how can things like a PDA fit differently into pre-existing plans so that assessments can be used more effectively?
So tell me if I'm reading you right here, but the nature of work is not stagnant. So employers are always changing the way that work is completed, maybe the process of each individual job station. If you think about a manufacturing environment, a lot of times with model year changes or even if it's not tied to a direct year, like in the automotive industry, where you have regular recurring changes that are going to take place, but maybe it's a redesign or a relaunch of a product. But with those types of things, you can always reclassify how the work is taking place and those physical and cognitive demands that are associated with the work. That can be used in today's job market. A lot of times employers are having a hard time getting employees to perform the work that's needed. So by reclassifying and looking at how work is being performed to be more inclusive of different ability levels, the employer can capture what those requirements are for bringing people on. As far as care plans go, again, you can take the data. You've got this central repository of data, and you know what the requirements of the job are. So you can take that and apply it in different ways. So if you have an employer who has some very physically demanding jobs, and it runs the spectrum all the way to maybe pushing a button, very uninvolved physical jobs. You're able to classify that spectrum and know where you have certain requirements and how you can take someone's abilities and plug them into the requirements that are there. The same thing could be used for cognitive demands. If you have a job that requires a lot of executive functioning and planning to perform a very precise action, you're able to classify that and then take someone's ability level to match with what the cognitive demands are for any particular position. So you're able, having the data collected and at your disposal is the first step in doing that type of matching.
Absolutely. I think something you mentioned there is really important about how these aren't used to, cut jobs away and exclude candidates. It's about making more inclusive and more accessible workplaces where more people are able to get in and do those jobs, just jobs that are right for them.
Yeah, for sure. It's about using a knowledge to place people into a position where they can be successful, and you're able to do that through the matching of an ability and a requirement. So.
With AI solutions and one-stop software shops being a major buzz across industries all over the last year, how do software solutions fit into these established and effective care programs?
We have a software platform called JobAble that allows you to put all of the job requirements for any particular employer into a database. You're classifying what the essential functions of the job are and linking those essential functions back to the physical and cognitive requirements of the job. On the back end of JobAble, there's a report that you can run called a job classifier report, where you can take an individual's abilities or restrictions. Abilities, if they've gone through some type of functional test or physical exam, and you know what the demonstrated safe ability of the person is. Restriction, if they're coming back from some type of injury and have a restriction of some sort for any physical or cognitive demand. But you can take those abilities and restrictions and run them against a group of jobs or all jobs in an organization so that you get this job classifier match that shows you exactly, okay, Ben, the employee, has a 50-pound lifting restriction, so he is not going to be able to perform 20% of the jobs that are on the production floor because that 20% of the jobs has lifting above 50 pounds. You're also able to see exactly which essential functions those 50-pound lifts are associated with, so that if you can make an accommodation for Ben, the employee, you know exactly what essential function that physical item is associated with, so that you may be able to have a different job station perform that 50-pound lift, or you might be able to accommodate and have a team lift for that item be required so that you can accommodate Ben's restrictions and get him back to work. But that is a way that you're able to take what is a common ask for employers is how do we accommodate someone's restrictions? And you can run it through the software package that is going to directly, match what you have for an ability to different jobs in the organization.
Yeah. I think the use cases of PDAs, when you start to understand and explain what they are, really pop out and become very self-explanatory in understanding how they can affect and really make positive impacts in the workplace. Is there any kind of final thoughts that you have about including PDAs, their place in the workplace, and what you've learned during your time here at Briotix Health, utilizing them and implementing them across so many different clients and work sites?
Yeah, sure. So it's a great step for classifying what you as the employer are asking of your employees, so that you know what both that process angle and the physical and cognitive angle, how it all fits together, so that you know what each job station is required to do in the big picture so that you get to your end result. They can be used for everything that we've already talked about, from functional testing, placement of employees, identifying ergonomic modifications, maybe safety risk, with different jobs, but all the way to job postings, so that when you're posting a job as the employer, you can put out what the functions of the job are and what the associated physical and cognitive demands are, so that a prospective employee knows what they are getting into when applying to the job. So there's a whole plethora of different uses for a PDA. And I've just learned, I often say that my favorite part about my job is the ability to learn how the world works. A lot of times people compare it. I don't watch a lot of TV, but compare it back to some of the TV shows. I think it's actually called How It's Made. But I get a behind the scenes look at how different items are produced, and how the world really works behind the scenes. So it's really great to see that, but then also feel like we have a part at Briotix Health of offering a solution to an employer for how to help their employees live more productive, have more productive work lives, and be healthy while doing so.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for all your insights today. We're glad that you were able to join us on Briotix Health Spotlight, and for what you brought and helped us learn a little bit more about PDAs. So thank you once again for coming on. We're excited to have you and excited to share this with everybody else out there.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it.
Of course.